Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-dan Go player. So look, I got a medal. But actually, everyone got this medal, and I wasn't even a player. I was the chief referee. So I was at the 45th World Amateur Go Championship this year, and it was held in Vancouver in Canada. I'm going to show you what I think is one of the best games of the tournament. And this is where white has peeped at P17, the position I'm showing you. White is about to lose 3 stones on the top side. So white's about to lose the 3 stones that I've marked. But in the process, he's going to squeeze from all sides. So, and it's going to be one of the highlights of this commentary where I show you how white set that up. To introduce the players, this is the profile of Minoru Ozeki. Ozeki is his family name, and he's a very strong amateur and a former Insei. Insei is the school where people study to become professionals. So all these amateur tournaments that he's won, that means that he actually participates in the lower rounds of some of the professional tournaments. And he's quite a formidable player, and he's actually beat a number of professional players. He came third in last year's tournament. That was the 44th World Amateur Tournament. It was a tie, a 3-way tie, and he was sort of unlucky with the SOS points, and he came third. Okay, so this is the profile of Sanwoo Kim. Not so much. Obviously, he's a young player, and it's actually very difficult to become the Korean player in this tournament. So he looked really good from the start of this tournament, and I was viewing him as one of the potential winners of the tournament. He ended up with 7 wins and 1 loss, so that shows that he was one of the best players in the tournament after all. So now to start the commentary. Okay, so this is a very common opening nowadays. I've played it myself, I believe. And black dives into the 3-3 point. So this is modern AI style Go. And white plays here. This was a big move. It was also a big move to play on the left side, so white could have played on the left side here. And that would have been a big move too. So when white plays this way, black's not necessarily going to answer it. So locally, black could play here. Sometimes black would play down to the second line. So black has a choice there. But it's also an option to play away, which is what black did in the game. Okay, so you can see black trying to reduce the value of the left side by reducing instead of actually fighting here. And he's continuing with the same idea. So this is a point where Katago was suggesting maybe he play something on the bottom side. And this would not commit to how black continues on the left side. White would probably continue with something in the top right. So this would be the strongest move. In the game, later on, white plays a more pacific move, diving into the top side like this, which allows black to surround the corner. So that's an option too. In the game, black continued on the left side here, and then played this extension. So the extension is a big move. Pinchering somewhere around there for white would be a big move also. And white dives into the top side. Again, Katago was suggesting that white play all the way in here, which would be a much more wild fight. And the idea would be to do something like this and try to make eyes. Or if black captures the stone, white's going to be able to escape out into the center. Okay, so once black has played at O18, another move at S13 would make a big territory there in the corner, so that's why white played this one. And the fight switches to the top side. So black's still trying to attack strongly here, and white played a probe in the corner. So this started the first important fight of the game. Black could have answered locally. So say black plays something like this. White it's not going to amount to much. White's going to have trouble living in the corner, but it could make a difference, for instance, with the cut at O15. So that cut on the fifth line could sort of connect up to that stone that white has at R17. So it's not always going to participate in the fight, but sometimes it counts in there. So black pushed on top. Black's trying to attack strongly here. And with this exchange, white does have a lot of Aji in the corner. So it's already starting to get difficult for black to kill the whole corner, because white does have the threat to connect up to the right side at S, for instance, at S15 or 14, depending on how the corner develops. So white plays a Hana here, and black played this move, which was a very strong move. It was maybe an overplay. So with this move, if black had played here, and then taken white's eyes. So this would take away white's eye space, and white would have to run out into the center. So something like this. And black would have a large-scale attack going on. In general, white's eyeless group would have to be running out, and black would have potential to use this attack, probably with the idea to eventually get some territory on the bottom side, so it could lead to a territory on the bottom side here, while black attacks white. And the top right corner, it's really, to be honest, it's going to be difficult for black to kill that group, and black's not going to try very seriously in the near future, probably. It's more important to dominate the fight in the center of the board. So this would be roughly even, maybe even good for black. And this was a slight overplay. But the idea is that if white plays the normal squeeze like this, black can allow white to do that. So this squeeze, it would be limited in what white has accomplished, and it would make a difference to how the corner dies, because now eventually if black plays here, this time the corner is going to die. So it would be worth it for black to be capturing these 4 stones like this. But instead, white started with the cut here. So white's trying to set up a squeeze. If black plays on this side, there's some issues when white breaks out here, so this would be probably bad for black. And black captures. And so white has already established this squeeze. So you could imagine something like this. And this variation, the corner is still going to die. So again, the corner is going to die. And that's why white played one more peep here. So anyone can play a peep, but you don't always get to play it with such exquisite timing. So if black connects here, which was arguably connecting was the good move. Let's give black one Atari here and say black connects now. White will squeeze here first, and then white will squeeze on the other side, and then live in the center. So white has one eye capturing this black stone in a net, and a potential eye on the top side. And so it's going to be difficult for black to kill this white group. Also, it's also difficult for black to kill the corner, because, for instance, if black does something like this, white does have this forcing move here, which means it's going to be a ko or something in the corner. So there's that issue. Actually, white would have to start with this one, but it's going to be a ko. Black didn't like the idea of connecting at O17, so he played here. This just made things worse, because he still has to connect at O17. He can't allow the double Atari here, of course. And he played here. So black was being a bit stubborn, but this gave white the opportunity to bump against here. So here, if black plays to cover here, white playing here as an Atari with the threatened cut at N14. Black can temporarily deal with that by playing here, and then on this side. But the top side is falling apart, so white can throw in here and capture. And this would be a collapse. So black can't do it that way. And so at this point, black basically had no choice but to capture the 5 stones, and white got to break out. So at this point, it became a great advantage for white. And so just to recap what I just said here, this was already bad for black, but black had to connect. So just to go back a few more moves, it would have been an easier attack for black if black had done it this way. And black would have had a slow developing large scale attack, which would eventually allow black to probably surround the bottom side. So this was the correct way. And here black's really getting into trouble because white still got the squeeze from the left side, and then white got to bump against black here. And black doesn't have any good reply, so black just takes the 5 stones. And white has broken through. So when white cuts here, if black connects, white's going to play an Atari here and connect, and this would capture black's stones on the right side. So that's why black couldn't do that. And white continues to attack here. And black sacrificed the right side. So if black had connected here, white would extend. Something like this. So white would be alive in the top right corner. White has a net at J14 for that. So that's kind of an extra eye that white can use sometimes. And black has 2 weak groups in the center. So both of these groups are not stable. And white has a weak group in between them, which is a fight that white's going to win the local fight and have enough initiative to be able to erase most of black's bottom side probably. So white has an advantage, but this would still be a fight. It's probably better for black to have fought it out like this. In the game, when white captured the right side, that was probably too much. So it was a lot of territory that black gave white there. Black did get to invade on the right side, so black was hoping to get something out of this. And white pushed through and cut here. So black played this way. If black had just captured the 1 stone, then white would have a forcing move here. This would threaten to capture black in the corner. And black would play like this. It turns out it's fairly easy for white to live. So white has 1 eye here and also has a potential eye with an attachment on the second line here. So white can make 2 eyes, and is also black will have trouble stopping white from moving out into the center also because of the cut here is forcing. So black will have trouble surrounding white in the center too. In the game, black played like this, and white can still cut here. So the cutting stone on the second line is still sort of a nuisance for black. And white plays here. At this point, white is alive. White extended. So here, black could have extended once more. If black had done that, white probably would have squeezed from the corner. So if white plays here, something like this, black can win the semi-eye, but white gets eye shape plus the squeeze from the corner. So that would be good enough for white, and white would just play a big move. The rest of the game would be black trying to surround the center, but with all the white territory that white got out of the fight in the top right and so on, this would already be a win for white. So black plays here in the corner, and white is going to live on the bottom side. Okay, so we switch to this move. So black is trying to make trouble for the white group in the lower right, and this was another exquisite move that I wanted to show you. Normally it wouldn't mean very much. So normally this corner is something like 7 points of black territory. Black can play here. White has a forcing move. In this case, white's going to play here, and threatening a ko at that's T3. Ko at T3 is threatened, so black takes here. So it's a 7-point territory usually. So black has 7 points of territory in the corner. White's move at T2 didn't seem to have much meaning, except that it's going to allow white to win the semi on the right side. So white's going to play here. something like this. So white's going to win this semi. It's a eye for white with no eye for black in this position. So black just loses the semi-eye. So in order to keep the advantage with the semi-eye, black had to play here, which loses the corner territory. So black lost something like 7 points of what looked like it was a black territory in the corner. So this exchange was perfectly timed. And arguably black shouldn't even have done this. So if black had played here, white would have been alive with this way. And it would have been easy for white. So black was trying to get something better than that with this. So he was trying to be more aggressive because black is sort of behind in the game. And white replied with this. So this was perfect timing. And black had to play here to keep the advantage in the semi-eye. So if white pushes through and cuts now it's a different story with black having an eye there on the right side. And it's a bit more trouble for white. Or black could even play like this. And here we see looks like white's going to lose the semi-eye. Okay, so white had to play here. So this was, locally it was sort of painful. But white got so much profit in the corner that it was worth it. So now we're entering the end game. White's taking profit while black finishes off the center. So the lower right corner turned into a seki. And I'll show you the end because it's going to end with another tesuji. So black did make a slight mistake here where he should have connected here. And we'll find out why later. Okay, so this was the final move of the game, and black resigned because it's very painful. So if black had played here, and this is the Tsukekoshi Tesuji, if black plays here, white pushes through, threatening to capture the two stones. And now black has no way to put the two stones on the D line in Atari and has to back up here. After which white can win the semi because black still cannot fill a liberty. So white's going to capture those 5 stones in the corner. If black connects, now white's going to use a different tsuke. So in this case, white's going to play here. Actually, it works both ways, but this would be like this, and it would be a double threat. Or white could revert to the previous tesuji and just capture the corner like this. So this would work also. It would be the same idea, where black doesn't have any way to fill a liberty after this. So how would black continue playing? Black would probably have to play something like this, and it would be sort of painful. And black would be giving up a bit of territory there. Black was losing anyway, so at that point he resigned. So I chose this game because white showed these beautiful tesuji in order of moves in the top right, in that fight on the top side, where black was capturing some white stones, but white found a way to squeeze it. And in the lower right, where white, while black was attacking, white found a way to turn the lower right corner into a seki. And this final tesuji, where white reduced black's territory. So in this game, Ozeki really looks good. It was the 6th round. In the end of the tournament, Sawa Kim also had 7-1. So this was the only game that he lost. So he did very well in the rest of the tournament. And the Chinese player, I have the results. So let's take a look at the results. Okay, so this is the results of the tournament. The Chinese player Tianfang Ma and Japan and Kim had 7-1. So it was the SOS that decided, and China had 1 extra point. It was important that in the final round, the 8th round of the tournament, China got to play Taiwan because Taiwan also had a score of 6-1, and so China got an extra SOS point out of that by beating Taiwan. So actually, it was a 4-way tie, and it turned into a 3-way tie at the end of the tournament. And you can see the SOS. If it had gone that far, it looks like Japan might have won the tournament. So it was a similar case in the previous year where it was a 3-way tie, and Minoru Ozeki lost in the SOS score, and he was third. And this time he was second. So maybe he's moving up. We'll see what happens next year. So that was my video about the World Amateur Go Championship. And I'll be back with more Golden Era videos next time. So thank you for watching.